Do I look rested?
Oh, hey, it's two of us.
Just the two of us.
Hey.
Oh, wait, there's three. It's the Three Amigos.
Or
That's true. That's true. You can be Curly, though, sir.
I'd rather be Mo. He's more violent.
Hey, Mo. Hey, Mo. Yeah.
Run out, porcupine. And we are the Three Amigos. We're better than famous. We are infamous.
There you go.
Infamous.
I was gonna say I can be the shocked shopkeeper or something.
There you go.
I never.
We are best known for our pencil mileage.
There you go.
Have you ever stopped to think about? Well, you know what? Let's get to the pleasantries, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Look at that, and 4 right off the hop. See what happens when you take a week off? Everybody is itching to get in here and
You're paying premium for it now.
That's right. Welcome to MBartist Alley Live. I'm your host, Stephen Ahola. Around the horn, you see that some of our creators are eager to talk to you, the happy people out there in the ether. We've got DC and Marvel inker, Mustafa Musa. How you doing today, sir?
Hey, how's it going?
In open Houston, Texas, as opposed to me here.
Yes, we're quite open down here. Sorry.
We are not. We've got Mr. John Hebert, Punisher, X-Men, artist, Marvel. How's life out there in Albany, sir?
A little better. My wife is healing nicely. My pool was actually on fire the other day, so it remains odd here as always. But things are opening up, and the weather's actually finally taking a turn. So we're no longer Alaska or Seattle, I guess.
Or Ontario. We got told today that schools will not be reopening at all. So my job as part-time teacher will be continuing for the rest of the month. And even though our stay-at-home order has expired today, nothing changes because they're not letting anything open.
Wow.
So we can go outside, but that's about all.
You're getting paid, right, to be a teacher at home?
No, I'm not.
Only with the reward of a job well done.
Yeah. You get paid in miles in your heart.
Let's put it this way. If my kids' grades drop, I have nobody to blame but me.
That goes without saying.
And finally, we got Mr. Jamie Coker.
Hello there, gents.
How's life in Minnesota?
Oh, good, man. Good. It's off and on, sunny today, so kind of adjusting to that and just getting prep done and everything else. And yeah, it's cool.
Isn't that the Minnesota slogan you guys have on your license plates? It's sunny off and on all day.
No. Our Game of Thrones stole ours. Winter is coming. That's our actual slogan. Because that's what it is here most of the time. See, our seasons fall like this. Fake spring, mini spring, summer, fall, long winter. That's how it goes.
We have those, but also pothole season. So.
Yes. Up here in Canada, we have winter and construction. That's it.
Yep. Paving.
I think we have 2.5 seasons, actually, down here.
Yeah, but you're the contrast. Don't you guys melt up there? I guess that'd be down there, right?
It's like 88 and 100% humidity. So yeah, we wither.
Yeah,
We're
we're gonna have a heat wave, 90 plus next week.
Wow, no wonder your pool's on fire.
Yeah.
It's so hot, the water just went up. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, Tom Paulin says Vancouver, we have sunny or raining. The faucet is either off or on. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how we do things around here. We are going to chit chat, but we want to hear from you, the little people, the big people, and all points in between. Give us your comments, give us your questions, and just talk to us. So our format here is we usually go off on our own little tangent. Either 4, sometimes 7, sometimes less. I'm sure Fran or Bob will be here in a minute, and Bob will hopefully grace us with at least his minimum 12 minutes. I guess that's his maximum. His maximum 12 minutes on the timer. Let's go right to our featured art prints. Let's kick it up. All right, our featured art prints for today, ladies and gentlemen. You can watch. Oh, before, and I'm all over the place. See, this is what happens when you're a week off. The cadence is all off. You can watch us on YouTube. You can watch us on Facebook or on the Collector's Toy Shop. So we welcome anybody and everybody who is watching us right now on those three platforms. Let's go through the featured art prints. Kicking it off with Mr. Bob Mccloud's Batman 66. We've got Chad Hardin's Black Cat. Francine Delgado's Marvel Girl. Mr. Coker, this looks familiar, does it not?
Oh yeah, Sonic. Inspired by the many requests and the movie that was coming out, which actually the movie was actually better than I thought it was going to be.
There's a sequel coming out now. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I did. I'm not surprised because Jim Carrey was amazing in that movie. I was like,
he really was.
It's like he went back to the 90s and found the comedic Jim Carrey and brought him back. So I enjoyed that a lot.
Cool. All right, so we got Sonic. There we go. James C. Mulligan's. We got Beauty and the Beast. Joe Rubinstein's Wonder Woman, Soaked Sensation. Mr. Hebert. Mr. Hebert. Tell us a little bit about this one.
I love that one. That was a commission for a charity auction, and it just came out great for me. It was one of those days where I could just do no wrong. I just felt good about it. Every line that I put down was right for once in my life, and it just came together. And the color just, oh my God, the color just blows me away. It's funny. I just saw the featured print thing on Instagram a little while before I came on, and that piece was featured, and I was like, oh my God, it looks so great, blown up with a person standing by it, So I'm very proud of that.
Who did the colors on it?
That one was Brian. That was Brian.
Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, he did a good job on this one. Yeah. Next one. Oh, Mr. Mustafa, what do we got here?
Let's see. We got a little classic Gambit and Rogue. I have Gambit's a pretty good seller for me, and people request them together, and I had a piece of them kind of like fighting off something, and they're like, do you have anything where they're just kind of like quiet and happy? And I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. I kept hearing it, the request for it. So I worked with a buddy of mine out over in the Austin area, Matthew Weldon, on it, and we come up with this, and then Sanji did the colors, and it's great.
Awesome.
Yeah, and if you remember his first iteration, it was more of a sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all oranges and reds, where I thought to soften it and make it more romantic, make it more sunset, and play off of the pinks and purples.
Yeah, I think that was a good touch that you had there. Yeah.
And to give you, who's the penciler on this one?
His name is Matthew Weldon.
Yeah, he nailed the one thing about being a penciler or an artist in general is the ability to walk a mile in your character's shoes. And I think he really nailed in a single image the relationship between Rogue and Gambit here.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Like being a best actor, he embraced it and felt it.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. We got Alpha Flight. Oh, Canada.
Oh, Canada.
This is a piece I did. I did this 20 years ago. I've told the story before. In a previous life, I actually was a writer, and I did a Bible for Alpha Flight, because back in those days, I don't know if you guys remember, like they did a Mutant X series. Right in the early 2000s when X-Men took off on the feature, and then they started bringing these little sub-mutant shows on TV. I was like, why can't we do an Alpha Flight? And I was going really well, and the agent who was working with it was really digging it, and we even had the opportunity to buy the rights. We just couldn't cut a check for $2 million.
Ooh.
So the bus stops there.
Uh-huh.
However, what would have been really cool, hindsight being 2020, because that's exactly when they were selling off everything.
Yeah.
If I actually could have pulled that off, how much do you think those rights would be right now? Because they would want it back.
Oh my God.
Ooh. Ooh.
$1 million.
No, it has to be more because I have to pay $10.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I know. I'm trying to be funny.
That's a haircut.
Yeah, tell me about it.
But it just slowly dawned on me that if I actually was able to pull that off and I had mutant rights,
Oh my
hey
God.
Fox, guess what? I got a piece of the action. You want all of them. You got to come through me. That would have been an interesting play. Anyways, those are our art prints available, our featured art prints. Your next question is, Stephen, how can I access these art prints? Well, there's 3 ways you can get these art prints today, my friends. Number 1, ask us a question or make a comment about what we're talking about. We want to hear from you guys, and each comment or question that relates to what we're talking about, Love Jeet's out there watching as well, and she's making tickets. Each one gets a ticket, and it goes to a draw at the end of the show. You have to be here to win, and you can pick one of these fabulous featured art prints coming your way. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We get you to engage with us. You potentially could win a free art print. Number 2, you just say, you know what? I want Batman 66 art print. Claim. Love Jeet will take care of you. 3, go to MBartist.com. We have it set up. All 9 of these art prints are available, whether you want fine art, platinum, or canvas. Fill your cart, and when you check out, put in the very complicated promo code, free shipping, and you will get exactly as we say, free shipping on your order. All right, guys. Let's. Nick Larkin says the Scarlet Witch is very, very nice.
Thank you.
There you go. Your first compliment of the day.
Thank you.
So of those 9, the topic I want to kick off with, and of course we never stay on the topic I choose very long, which is always a good thing, I think, because it usually leads to more interesting conversation. But let's kick it off. I want to talk about, does anybody know what my theme was in the 9 pieces that I selected?
Duos? No, I don't know.
Nope. Pinups.
Pinups.
So what I wanted to talk about was the art of doing the pinup. Now, usually when you say pinup, you'd think of like John's Scarlet Witch or Phantom Lady covers from the 1950s, or is it 40s, right? What I wanted to talk about is what makes a good pinup. When you are sitting down and you're doing a drawing, of course, we all want to do something that A, strikes our imagination, and also B, will pull in someone else's. Oh, yeah, look at that. As always, fashionably late. Ladies and gentlemen, look who has joined us. It is Barbie art director Francine Delgado in her new digs.
Oh.
Yay!
Oh, hey, look at that.
Oh,
Look at this.
How's life up in
New place.
Vancouver, Miss Delgado?
Well, today is stunning, beautiful outside. Actually, I was gonna go to my balcony, but it's too sunny now, so I'm gonna stay here.
Nick wants to know, how is Sonic a pinup? Okay, not all of us had traditional pinups. Sometimes I had to kind of pick something and stick the square peg in a round hole. Lee Cooker is more known for doing bad guys. Essentially what I wanted to talk to you guys is the pinup, in terms of, we always want to do something that interests us and we hope interests others, that they'll want to buy it and put it up on their wall. And Mustafa, I know we've had a conversation about this. What's your ideology when it comes to composition and creating a pinup?
Yeah, kind of what you just said. Like something that looks good on a wall, something that looks good up close, something that looks good far away, that you want to, look at, that catches the eye. I don't know. It's tough to say, but when something looks good, and something does not look good.
And just like that, we have number 6. Start the clock. Mr. Mccloud is in the house. How you doing, sir?
Hello,
Hi, Bob.
everybody.
Hi, Bob.
How's everyone?
Hi, Bob.
We want to maximize your time today, Bob. Thank you for joining us. Guys, just to let you know, Bob's been hard at work. If he looks a little disheveled, it's because he's been recreating the deck outside of his house. How's that coming along, sir?
It's coming along. You can probably tell I'm a little sunburned.
Good
Still
for
got a
you.
lot to do.
Well, we're glad that you've joined us. We're talking about pinups and what makes a good pinup. And Mustafa was just talking about wanting to do something that's appealing not only to us but to others in composition. When you go about doing a composition for a pinup style, what is your thought process when you go into it, Bob?
Mainly large figures. I think you want to get an interesting pose with a large figure, and if it's multiple figures, you want to try to make them work together and show some personality. I like to show personality in figures, and depending what kind of pinup it is, maybe just have them looking interesting or have some action. It depends.
John, in terms of when you're doing your composition, because I noticed that when you're doing your pinups, you either have a very exaggerated style or you focus more on what's happening in the scene. If you look at your Thor, it's very much you could probably consider your Thor recreation, even though it's very faithful to the original, a pinup, but it very much keeps in line the story that goes on within that. Where if you look at your featured art print, the Scarlet Witch, it's very much just a look at me dynamic pose. What's your process?
I look at the situation, what I'm supposed to be drawing, and say to myself, how can I make this as interesting as possible to grab somebody's eye and keep them involved in it, draw them in. And sometimes it's one approach and sometimes it's another. And I mean, the Scarlet Witch had to be one figure. I didn't just want one bland figure standing there with the standard pose, hands at the side or what have you. I just wanted to do something different. So I actually looked at with a situation like that, very often I'll look at photographs of like a model or something. Very often I'll have a pile of things that I put aside going, oh, I like this picture. I'm going to use this at some point and make a drawing of this. And that was one of those situations. And then I kind of, got a little creative with the cape and everything, because the cape can be a wonderful design element if you use it properly. The hair just happened to fall in place. I said, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to punch that up even more. And again, I think it worked as a piece.
Yeah, absolutely. Francine, dropping down to you, your background is different than most of everybody else who are in comic books. Yours is in animation. So your medium is more naturally flat in terms of not being able, because you got to make sure it moves. So how do you approach I think I just insulted her.
How dare you?
So talk to me about your approach.
Independently of my work in animation, I have been knowing to draw pinups since forever. Especially because when I started, I loved to draw girls, and most of the time were just like very sexy girls in sexy poses. So it was very pinup looking like. And actually, even a few years ago, I got to work for this guy on advertisement that hired me because he's also one of my lady pinups, and he has a client that is a wine brand on the States, and they are called Wine Girl Wine or something like that. The thing is, like, they want to do pinups for the next batch of labels, and I have been helping them doing pinups for this my label since maybe 3 years ago. So now that you are talking about pinups and how usually I paint more like in cell shade colors, I was remembering about this work because it's very pinup looking. Like I don't know, it's better if I share what I'm talking about, right?
Yep. Your video is really jumping in and out. Do you think you can give it a try coming out and coming back in real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry about that. Oh, and we just lost Jamie. Jamie, that was a note for Francine, not you. Come on back. Yeah, Nick Larkins thinks Francine's Derby Girl is a good cleanup, and not cleanup, pinup. Brendan has a real quick question, but we're going to save that for after 4 o'clock, Brendan. So here's a good question: have you guys ever seen someone else's pinup and thought, you know what, I want to try to? Did it either inspire you, or was there something there that you wanted to integrate or borrow? Because Lord knows we've never borrowed before. Bob?
I mean, I always look at other artists for inspiration to get ideas. I don't remember an occasion where I deliberately wanted to do something like something else someone did. I don't know. I don't do that many pinups. You know, I'm constantly getting inspired by other artists, but not in the sense you're talking about, really. Well,
ironically enough, one of your most famous covers that you're known for, I would probably consider a pinup, and that would be the New Mutants graphic novel that you did. Wouldn't you consider that?
Yeah, I mean that's a pinup type cover. I don't know where the idea for that came from, except I think they wanted me to draw the whole team looking energetic, basically, and so I just had them looking threatened and using their powers.
Well, it looked like Professor Xavier had a killer headache. Just out of curiosity, and I don't know, I want to go back in time a little bit. When you were first roughing that out, did you have like a shape in mind, or did you start with a single character and build it out? What was your process when you came up with that cover?
Are you talking about New Mutants #1 or the graphic novel?
The graphic novel, that one.
Yeah. How did I start that? I think I realized Sunspot had to be in the middle because he's all black. So black's a real attention grabber. So I didn't want him on the margin kind of throwing the balance off. So I started with him in the middle. And then Danny's, I thought, a real attractive character. So I wanted her front and center. And then I thought, what can I do with Rain? She can be a problem. You know, should you draw her as a girl or as a wolf or transitioning or whatever? And then I, just thought of having her as a wolf and Danny kind of holding her back. And then, of course, Sam is tall, so he can be something that throws the balance off. So I just decided to have him blasting, then shoved Karma in the background and threw Professor X to balance against her.
Yeah, it's a classic. It really is. And the fact that you have that, the cutout, there you go, with the black background and the New Mutants taking up the top third. It's it's classic. There's nothing more we can say other than that.
Yeah, the cutout idea was not mine. I think either Chris or Louise came up with the idea of making it into a little cutout square like that.
Well, wasn't that the standard format for the graphic novel covers at that point for Marvel? Because Death of Captain Marvel had that, and She-Hulk, and I think that's the way. I think that was pretty much the look. Yeah,
that sounds familiar. That could be why.
Jamie, coming over to you. Now, you've evolved into using a strong cross-hatching style in your drawings of late. How do you bring that into your composition, and what's your process in terms of wanting to do a pinup? Because I'd probably say a majority of your pieces are pinup style.
I'm sorry, you have to repeat that. My audio is cutting in and out.
I was talking about how you've evolved your cross-hatching style from when you did the beginning of your Villainous Villains series with the Skeletor. I'd probably say that's the first time that you kind of went just all the way with it. In terms of your process of doing the pinups, how do you know when to bring that into play in terms of your composition and fleshing out the piece? Jamie? Jamie has pleaded the fifth. Jamie, you could have just said no comment.
What's wrong with the internet today?
I
It's
don't
not
know.
only mine.
No paparazzi. No paparazzi. Okay, well, let's go
No
around the room real
paparazzi.
quick, and let's talk about really iconic covers that we would consider pinup that pops up in your mind. Mustafa, favorite pinup cover?
Let's see. That's tough because like my first cover I ever saw is one of my favorites. It's the Spider-Man that McFarlane did on Marvel Age number 90. But the Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns, where he's running across the sky, it's great, and it probably didn't take him long at all. Like, it's very simple, but it's so iconic, it's so striking.
And that's a great point as well. And while you've made that point, we're joined by inker legend, Infinity Gauntlet, Wolverine Limited Series, Patch Adams, Mr. Joe Rubinstein. How you doing, sir?
Hello. I was hearing what Mustafa was saying, and he's wrong.
Okay.
So that's why you came on?
It's not his favorite. Okay.
Oh, no, it's probably not.
Okay.
And we're talking about pinups, Joe, and one of the things that
Betty
Mustafa,
Page, stuff like that.
yes, sir, yes, sir. But also just in general, in terms of the process, Mustafa was saying that one of his favorites was very simple but graphically pleasing. From the standpoint of composition, when do you know when to bring in graphic elements and just leave well enough alone?
When do you know?
Yeah.
I think it starts with the concept. Is it a graphic piece or is it not? Also, do you want to play simple against detailed? Yeah, I mean, there was an illustrator named Cole Phillips who used to do these covers of women where they sort of melded into the background and came out of it. And that was the concept. It was graphic, unlike somebody like Vargas, which would do a fully rendered figure. So, like also sometimes you get bored of rendering everything and you just want to go flat and graphic just so that it happens faster. So.
Well, I think that's what, coming back to you, Mustafa, in terms of McFarlane's Batman, his classic one with the cape, I saw him do a conversation about that where he said he had basically 24 hours to get it done. So he wanted to basically just crank something out and make it as simple as possible. And he had no idea. Yeah, he had no idea it was going to be as big as it was. Bob, in terms of bringing in concepts and everything, do you find that comes early in the process, or does it evolve?
It should come early. I would hope. If you got to wait to evolve your concept, that involves a lot more work.
Right. Guys, I'm seeing comments here about rules. Brendan, there's no rules. We want you to keep asking your questions and comments. We're just going to run through them at 4:00. So don't worry about it, buddy. You're good. Just because you took a longer vacation than we did, you're all good. Francine, talk to me about concept in terms of let's get away from the pinup. I like the thread we're going in terms of fleshing out concepts. How do you go about in terms of concepts, in terms of, as Joe said, early thinking whether it's going to be detailed or whether it's going to be graphic or design heavy?
Okay, in my case, independently, if it's a pinup or anything else that you're designing, basically to me, the most important thing when I'm doing a piece is the composition of that piece. And just like at the same level of importance with the composition is also what I want to set with that piece. I really like storytelling, and to me it's very important that the piece itself says something. So if it's about just like having characters to look chill and with a like that, that they are in a very safe space mind, or is this a piece about having a bunch of characters looking like they are fierce and ready for action? So having all those things in mind, and basically guides of composition help me with my pieces. Like for example, if you want something to look balanced and with equilibrium, so you put it like in a circle composition. If you want it to look more like edgy and more that is dangerous, so you go with pointy compositions like triangle and stuff like that. So it can be like very basic use of stuff that you learn in photography or any type of piece that you have to compose, and what I want to sell with that piece. So I use those two things, and based on that, I start doing my thumbnails or layouts or whatever you want to call it.
John, up to you. Mustafa, and guys, if you guys ever want to ask each other questions based on what they say, feel free to jump in. John, Mustafa was talking about McFarlane's Spider-Man in that Marvel age. Do you have an iconic cover that jumps to your mind?
Well, I'm old and I've been around comics for a long time. Well, I was around comics for a long time. So there's a lot of, I've seen a lot of those things come and go. One of my favorites that's, everybody I think can relate to is the Killing Joke cover. Oh, yeah. Now, it's a very simple concept. The Joker with a camera smile, but the rendering on it is so tight, being that it's Brian Bolland. I mean, that's a real camera. It's not exaggerated or generalized or fake in any way, shape, or form. It's a real camera. The glove on his hand is perfect. The anatomy of the hand is not exaggerated at all. It's real. It's about as close to photorealism as you can get with pen and ink.
Yeah. Just that cover alone is a huge inspiration. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's iconic. But now there's another one from 20 years before, 15 years before that I feel the same way about, only with different elements. And it's Marshall Rogers' Deadshot cover from Detective Comics with the reflection of Batman and Zipatone on the mask and the gun, the wrist rocket, facing us. And I just think that was a brilliant, brilliant cover. I always have, and I mentioned I'd like to recreate that sometime with a little spin on it. But I always, when I got that in the mail, because I subscribed at the time, I looked at that and I just could not take my eyes off it. I'm like, wow, this is incredible. Because at that point, I didn't really understand the concept of Zipatone, certainly not white Zipatone. And it was like, wow, and it's reflected, everything's flopped, and it's dynamic and it's cool. And I couldn't, at first I was like, oh, this is kind of weird. This doesn't look like a Batman book, because Deadshot didn't look like a Batman villain. He wasn't very dark. He looked very Iron Man-esque at first. And then I couldn't stop looking at it. I said, okay, I guess I'm into this. And it's still iconic to this day. And they've spoofed it and, rehashed it a bunch of times. So that tells you something.
Guys, we want to know what your iconic covers are. Drop it into the comments and we'll read them off later. We want to know, what do you guys think was iconic covers that were done? I don't know about you guys, but I find that the simple graphic, like the Killing Joke cover, like McFarlane's Hulk cover, where Wolverine has the claws up close with the reflection coming into the claws. I don't know why, but go ahead.
I don't think those are graphic. They're
no?
good. No, I think graphic is simple, flat. I mean, graphic speaks about a simple dynamic. It's immediate. Guy, like those guys crossing the street thing. It's a guy crossing the street. The cover that Ditko did on Spider-Man, where he's all in black and his webbing is negative or white, that's graphic and it's powerful. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the best covers I've ever seen, because you look at it and it just does the job immediately. And he distilled it down to its essence. That's what I think of as graphic. When they say graphic violence, what does that mean? It's like blatant in your face,
Or like the Watchmen cover, that's a very graphic cover.
Yeah. I mean, all those things were like, we're not going to do comic book covers. We're going to do something that graphically grabs the eye and intrigues the reader.
Jamie,
Terry and Keith did a recreation of that, basically, when they took over when Keith Pollard took over Spider-Man, and they basically took it back to basics. They redid that cover, or a version of it, around, what was it, 79, 80? You remember that, Joe?
I don't.
Okay, it was good, but they were recreating the Ditko era, or attempting to.
I mean, there's another one that Kubert did of Enemy Ace, and Kubert's my favorite comic book artist, and Ace just, his big figure occupying the cover. I think there was a plane in there, but he's also more or less black with just the highlights of him showing. And you could stand across the room and see what that cover was doing and the effect it had. So I mean, so one of the ways of gauging is a piece of artwork good in comic book terms is if you shrank it down to a postage stamp, does it still have the storytelling effect? Can you still see what it's all about? And you get people like Arthur Adams who he's great at what he does, and if you shrunk him down, all those details would be gone, but probably it would still hold together because of the shapes he used. Probably.
Do you use that as part of your drawing process, Joe? Do you ever just take pictures of your roughs and then shrink it down to make sure that the basic shapes still work?
No, but Dick Giordano talked about the fact that when you do a figure, the silhouette should tell the story. So while a guy might be holding a gun here, it's probably better over there because now we see the shape of the gun and we see what it's all about right away. I mean, you can't do that every time, but does the outside shapes tell the story? And it's one of the ways that there's a lot of artists who, like Kurt Swan, was not graphic. He was a wonderful draftsman, but it's not like he put the stuff in your face. And Miller and Steranko, they distilled it down to a point of the story is about the black shapes. And there's a philosophy in comics that the page should work uncolored. Don't expect your coloring to save your ass. But at the same time, there are jobs where the coloring is an integral part of the storytelling, because let's say it's like I did a Captain America, where Captain America was about to cut off Baron Blood's head, and he's got the shield over his head. And as the progression happened, the colors got hotter and hotter to tell the story. So, there are a lot of people who don't think that original art should ever be colored. And I completely disagree, because when you tell a story, you have to anticipate the coloring and the mood and the lighting. And when you're looking at a black and white page, it's not finished. It was never meant to be done. It always had that extra layer of coloring to it. So that's why I think if you get somebody who's a top colorist to color a piece of original art, it's fine.
In animation, they always teach us to push the pose whenever we're doing the rough animation, because it strings together to create movement. They always hammer to this that we need to keep pushing the key poses until we maximize the story. Jamie,
and to have a clear silhouette. Remember, push the pose and have a clear silhouette. So when Joe were talking about that, don't have the gun over here, but have it over here. Those things, push it, but also have a strong silhouette.
Jamie, when you're doing Jamie's back and he's hopefully got his internet all figured out. Jamie, when you're getting into your composition and you're trying to figure out the story, the characters, what they're doing, how much do you push the pose?
Oh man, I try to go for whatever I feel is the most dramatic, and it's all by feel. I don't really adhere to any guideline or anything like that. It's like, does it feel right? Does it feel good? Does it feel like I'm looking at this and does it feel like it's a little more another level than what I did in my thumbnails? And if it's not, usually it's time to go back to the drawing board and take another look at it or get another opinion on it or what have you. So that's usually my filter.
Mustafa, usually when you're working on it, the poses are already there in pencil. Have you ever taken a look at a provided rough and said this needs to be pushed and actually endeavor to do so?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. There's a big sometimes discrepancy from I'll do concept art sometimes for the prints that I work on, and in my head I have exactly how it's supposed to look like, and then I'll work with different pencilers and I'm like, oh, that's not exactly it. There's one of my more popular ones. It's Wolverine and Dark Phoenix, and she's holding onto him while she's burning him, and he's just kind of taking it. And originally, like, it was drawn like he's like, ugh, like he's tough and he's taking it and all that. I'm like, no. It's killing him, but he's in love with her. So like we had to tweak it for like a month back and forth to get the right expression. Then there's some times where just, a leg isn't right or an arm isn't right. And I'd be like, hey, this is too long. I need to fix this. That goal is like, oh yeah, sorry. So yeah, absolutely.
Joe, same question to you. All the covers that you've worked on with Marvel and everything, like let's take for example the classic one that you did, the Wolverine #1, which Luke says is his favorite pinup, by the way. Talk to me when you got those pencils, because I remember you saying that they were fairly loose. Did you feel like you were able to expand and push the pose, push the line work?
Well, they were loose for sure, and I tried to lay a layer of reality over it and make it more sculptural and get the lighting to be consistent. But I believe, and Dick Giordano was my teacher, mentor, and Dick said, you can do anything you want with the inks if you don't have to pick up a pencil, which means I don't have the right to redraw that arm. I may move the anatomy around inside of that arm. I don't have the right to move that head 3/4 when it was a profile, because I think it's a matter of respect, because I wouldn't want some guy deciding arbitrarily that he's going to change my stuff either, but am I still here?
Yeah, you're still here.
I see what you're doing. But something may feel a little flaccid, and I'll look for angles to firm up the muscles. And one of the things Dick would do is, if a guy was punching, he would try to get all the rendering going in the direction of the punch. So that was a way of trying to do the storytelling, because everything is storytelling. Even if it's just the face, it's like, who is it? What are they doing? What's their attitude? Who are they talking to? What would their expression be if they were talking to this person or that person? So it's all in the service of getting the point across. So
I was always told that a pinup is basically just something going on within a bigger panel somewhere on some plane.
Okay,
and that's pretty much what you're saying.
Yeah, and certainly there are some great panels, like Ditko did a panel in Spider-Man where he was picking up this enormous whatever the hell he was picking up. It's fantastic. I mean, everybody remembers this, and it certainly could have been the cover, but it was a panel, And speaking of pushing things, George Evans, who is one of the EC artists, who arguably one of the greatest group of draftsmen who ever did comic books, George's stuff was influenced by Hal Foster, and was beautifully drawn, very well executed. And I saw his layouts, and he would draw literally a smiley face with a mouth running across it, and that was the start of this beautifully sculpted head he drew, because he wanted, if you go too far at the beginning and you can pull it back, but if you start right, you may dull it, so you want that big expression of movement and gesture and facial thing, and like you were saying about animation, and then you can sort of mellow it a little bit, but you want to start big.
John,
I'm sorry.
John, going up to you in terms of you've been doing a lot of with your MBartist feature prints. Each series, you've been picking a classic cover and doing a reimagining of it. As you're going about that process, and you just did your Star Wars #1 version. Let's talk about that one. As you dive into it, do you look at a component of it and say, I want to move it, I want to push that, but I feel like I can't? Do you have that constant push-pull effect going on when you do it?
To some extent, perhaps, but the thing is, I don't want to just do a direct tracing of something either. I want to try to make all these cover recreations, reimaginations that I'm doing. I want to make them my own and give the audience out there something else to look at. Oh, I remember that. Hey, wait, that's not the same. That's a different spin. It's almost like when a band does a greatest hits album And sometimes because of legal rights or whatnot, like that, there was a great Bob Welch album where he had his greatest hits, and he had to re-record them because of a rights thing. So here were these songs that he had done in the 70s, redone in the 90s with different technology and maybe a little different spin, some different inflections, different flourishes, things that he had probably learned in those years. I kind of look at it as that. I just I don't want to do a direct tracing, although if I did, I'd probably be a superstar like some of the people now, but that's beside the point. I'm not the Lord of the Lightbox. The Star Wars piece was interesting because, again, I think I've said this before. I'm a huge Howie Chaykin fan, but I never felt that was one of his stronger pieces, and I don't believe he does either. He got it done. It was what it was. But being the big Star Wars geek that I was when I was a kid, I always said, geez, I would like to have done something more with that. And I've seen it redone as a painting and whatnot. And I said, okay, this is kind of cool. And of course, they recolored it for reprints, and that changed it. So this was my chance to kind of do my own thing. And I felt that certainly the character of Han Solo was underserved on that cover, and the Millennium Falcon wasn't even represented. And that's part of the legacy of Star Wars. Part of it's a cast member. So I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And I think I tried with that to give fans everything I would have wanted to see on that cover. So that's my story, my long story.
No, it's great, man. It's good to learn. We're always learning here. So dropping down in continuing on the reimagination, because we've done 5 iterations of these Golden Age tributes. Jamie, you have a very different way of approaching it as opposed to Joe and John, who are a little bit more favorable to the original piece. You have a tendency to take it and flip it a little bit on its head. Talk to me about how your process may have differed to what John kind of just talked about.
Oh boy. I don't want to reference Kylo Ren or anything, but how he said, you have to killing the past or anything like that. But at the same time, I also feel like, for myself anyway, when I'm approaching these cover recreations, I'm kind of like, I almost want to take the whole thing and just change it and find some way to make it like almost completely my own or something. And so that's what I do. I just try to the planet. That's a good example. On the original cover, he was kind of in the distance a little bit, I felt, and kneeling on the guy, and the girl was kind of that, fainted, and I need some help getting up. Oh, woe is me. And I just thought, no, I want to ramp up the drama. I want to make the guy look like he's about to destroy something that she cares about. I want her to look like she's trying to stop him. I want the guy on the ground to look like he's getting his ass kicked. I wanted all that stuff just ramped up to another level. The Chamber of Chills, I wanted that girl to look messed up. I wanted her to look like she's the final girl and she's not gonna make it. And the guy who's reaching at the guy, I know he's reaching for his crotch a little bit, but the thing is like he's trying to help her out. It's not gonna happen. The bad guy is gonna win, and that's the end of it. The original cover, he's just kind of, the bad guy's carrying her, and again she's fainted. Oh. And so I'm just like, no. Let's ramp up the drama, ramp up the intensity, ramp up the I don't want to say the killingness or anything like that, but I definitely wanted to make her look like, this is a messed up situation this girl is in, man.
I'm gonna keep pulling your covers just so I can see how many times I can get you to go.
Well, dude, I mean, with these covers, it's like the girls are the women on the covers are always like these damsels in distress, always looking like they're helpless. I don't know.
Hey,
so, Francis, based on that.
Nice.
Hey, Stephen, I got a question.
Yeah.
It's for the viewers.
Okay.
I'm sure you guys and gals thought we worked hard and cared about this stuff, but I wonder if you thought we thought that hard about it. Because you're getting a lot of people.
Have you ever really looked at Neil Adams?
Sorry, Joe. Finish your thought there.
Yeah, that was it. Just, do they, we think about this and that and the other, and we need more of that and this, and it's like, did they assume we work this hard, or did we just sit down and do a drawing and keep running?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, guys. Let's throw that out to you. We want to hear from you out there in TV land, because we're talking about our processes, insights. Do you find this stuff interesting? Like, do you think that we put too much thought into it? Did you know we actually think at all? John, you were going to add to that.
Speak for yourself.
I was just going to ask, well, most of you guys, but specifically Joe, do you remember Neil Adams' old House of Mystery, House of Secrets, etc. covers, all the horror covers?
Sure.
It was pretty much, even The Witching Hour, it was basically, they were all the same almost, same scenario.
Right.
Here's two kids, often with the same dog, sometimes the same
Right.
kids, behind a wall of a mausoleum with something frightening going on in the front or trying to avoid something going on in the front. Meanwhile, there's something coming up on them in the foreground, reaching out for them, a hand or something. That was basically the scenario for every one of his covers. And it worked. I mean, he did that for several years, I think, doing those covers. There must have been probably 20 of each of those books: Unexpected, Witching Hour, House of Mystery, House of Secret. Basically the same thing. Same scenario, just slightly different creature, maybe a different pitch. I just always thought that was very, very cool, but he made it work again and again and again.
Well, Carmine was the editor-in-chief, and he designed all the covers. He felt that was the
Right.
selling point. And Carmine had formulas.
Okay.
You tilt the city, you make two kids looking at it. That makes all the viewers identify with it because we're kids, and until somebody made him stop. Carmine was just going to keep doing the same thing over and over again.
I had a football coach that did the same thing. Francine, let's talk about you. Same question as Jamie, because you have a habit of flipping classic covers on its ear. Here I've got your planet, and I love this piece. Like, even though this is your first, I love this piece. So let's take here's the original. So talk to me about how you felt the restraints of doing a recreation. Wow, look at that expression. She looks so happy to be up on that tree. And then here's your version.
Okay, first of all, as Jeremy mentions, a lot of the times on these Golden Age covers, the woman on the cover is like secondary or kind of like a helpless character that cannot defend herself. So with the first cover that I did, that was like the first thing that I want to tackle is like, okay, this time this girl is on the center, is like in the center of the action. She's not gonna be happy. She is gonna be a fearless warrior. She's gonna fight one on one. She's even gonna kill the guy. I know, a little bit harder, but basically, I really like the composition that the original had. And you can see, I try to keep the same composition. I like this kind of like a wide tree, and how make it like a frame, and you can see like there is another action happening like on the far background. So I want to keep all that. I love the composition of the original cover. I want to keep that, but I just want to change the story, what was happening. And then on Chamber of Chills, I was something similar. Like this time, I was not in love with the composition, but I like the story. The story is like we have this archaeologist guide or something that is being dragged by a bunch of zombies, living dead creatures. So I really like the story, but I wasn't in love with the composition they choose. So for this one, I decided to basically change the angle. I grabbed the camera, put it on the hole to make it look like the guy is more in danger. And I try to keep like the same story. There is a guy that is being dragged by zombies, and he's kind of like a Indiana Jones type of guy. So keep the story and change the composition. And on the other one, I love the composition, but I kind of want to change the story.
So there's no pleasing.
By the way, sometimes I get sick.
Mustafa, just to bring you into, so you're doing your first Golden Age tribute with us in conjunction with Francine.
High five. Oh my God.
There it is, guys. That is UltraCon exclusive.
It's a
Mustafa
pretty.
and Francine's Wiz Comics.
Very nice.
So Francine's pencils, Mustafa's inks.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. So Mustafa, you heard how Francine tackles it. So she basically did her magic in the pencils and then sent it off to you. On that specific piece, what did you tweak? What did you bring to the table? Did you have a lot of conversation back and forth? Talk to me about the process of making that Wiz comic.
Did we have a lot of conversation about it? Did I just kind of go? I don't know. I don't remember.
Maybe at the beginning. At the beginning, when we were trying to choose
beginning,
one.
yeah. I don't know. I mean,
we
as
were trying
artists,
to choose one together, but then.
yeah, we just kind of trust each other and we just kind of get stuff done. I don't know. Is somebody drilling a tooth? What's going on?
Oh, sorry.
Joe's sharpening skates.
Can I mute while I do that? I don't know. I guess I can. All right. Okay. Hey, listen, if you try, all right. I'll stop.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It just makes
No,
me
I have an ice time in 2 hours. I need my skates nice and sharp.
Right.
Yeah. Gates.
I'm inking John Byrne copies, and I
very
lighten
cool.
them a little bit.
Oh, is that X-Men? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I'm supposed to be doing all 38 pages of the first issue of Elsewhere if we get enough people who want it. So,
Oh my God.
Oh, cool. Well,
That's a lot of pages.
you know, Francine, I would volunteer to ink one of your pieces, but I hear you just can't be pleased. So
Okay, just for you to prove the contrary, I'm gonna give you one of my pieces, and I'm gonna be very pleased with the result.
don't threaten me. Okay.
Come on, Joe, ink one of my pieces.
All right.
careful, Joe. Fran's gonna rough you up.
Do I have to ink it with an accent? I don't know.
Usually he has to pay for that in New Jersey.
Yeah, I pay extra. Right. Sorry.
Well, I did another one of Francine's. I guess I can show that one off. This was for the J. Scott Campbell show.
Yay! That looks so pretty too. See, I'm very pleased with it.
So here's a question, because I know you did one as well, Mustafa, and I've been seeing that he's been posting them all. Did you guys send it to him? Has he reposted yours yet?
Somebody told me that he reposted it. He reposted a lot of them though, so I don't know. I didn't get to really see it.
What is this, a project? What kind of project is it?
So somebody recreated. Well, they tweaked one of his famous covers, and it didn't go over so well for them. And so he said, "Okay, well, let's see. I have a famous cover here. Do you guys want to redo it? Go ahead and redo it." And so I worked with buddy of mine, Ali Garza, and we did one, and then Francine did one as well, and it was awesome. And I wanted to work on it, so I did.
Essentially, somebody thought they could recreate his cover and ridicule him for his anatomy inadequacies, and basically he just flipped it on its head and turned it into an opportunity. Said, "All right, let's see what everybody can do. Here's a cover. Go nuts."
If Bernie Wrightson knew anatomy, his stuff wouldn't have been as good.
That's right.
You know, and which is not to say you should know anatomy, but it's not the end all and be all either.
That's right.
It's kind of like, know the anatomy and then like make it work for you, make it work in your favor. So don't start like inventing muscles when they are not muscles. If you are drawing humans, change it as it's good for your piece.
Right. There still has to be some gravity to it. It's got to be connected to some semblance of the real world or some sense of, normalcy, whatever. Otherwise, it's just there's nothing people can relate to.
Right. Well, I mean, it's got to have human-ish proportions, even in comic book terms. But like Carmine Infantino would ignore the laws of human motion, and he'd have a guy walking with his right leg and his right arm going at the same time.
Yep.
Okay, if that's the world you live in. So.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody tape this and send it to Rob Liefeld, please.
Yeah.
See, you can change it and it's still
Hey, Joe,
work.
I got a quick question for you.
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
This is the accomplished painter you are, and I always give you props for that because you are a hero of mine.
Thanks.
Have you ever seen Bernie Wrightson's Meatloaf album cover from 1980, I think, 79.
Oh yeah, sure. It's great. But Bernie was
Isn't
a
it?
better painter.
I had forgotten.
Well,
What's
the
that?
thing about comic book people is we deal with black and white so much that it's a rarity when you find somebody who understands color. And Bernie did, no, Bernie was, ever since he passed, they've been publishing work of his I've never seen before. And he had a wider range than people understood because, of course,
he did.
wanted what they wanted. Yeah. By the way, I've been painting. You recognize that pose, right? Everybody knows that pose. Right. I've been doing a series of these things.
Oh, yeah.
Which are
I saw somebody's on Facebook. They're incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to turn these into prints.
Yeah, maybe we'll turn them into
Errol.
prints.
Spider,
God,
yeah.
In case you need a portrait of your little princess for Mother's Day next year. So, okay.
Well, what's funny going back to that album cover is I had known about that when I was a kid because, of course, I was a big comic book fan. I love Bernie's stuff. And, Meatloaf had been a big thing, and then he sort of imploded. The second album sort of tanked. I remember it being there, but just for whatever reason, I must have burned those brain cells out. And then back in the 90s when he had his big comeback, I started rebuying the albums. I remember going to a Lechmere store, which isn't even around anymore, and seeing what they had in the CDs. I'll upgrade. I'll get these. I'll have the whole collection. And I'm like, oh, my God, Bernie did this. I'd completely forgotten about it. There it is right there.
Yeah.
And I loved it all over again. In fact, I loved it more than when it was new. I appreciated it more once I got older because I didn't care about what the kids in schools, you're buying that crap. It was just like, wow, this blows me away. And I would just sit there and stare. I'm just sorry I don't have the actual original album anymore to look at that in the size it was supposed to be seen in.
Well, Bernie's idol was Frank Frazetta. So if you look at Bernie's color work, try and see what influence Frazetta had on it.
Yep. Yeah, because neither one of them they don't have a brassy use of color. It's very understated. And that was how I knew when I saw Ghostbusters the first time. And it comes to that third act where everything's going to hell and things are flying out of the sewers and there's that creature driving the cab. I went, wow, that looks like Bernie Wrightson stuff. And as I'm watching the closing credits, sure as hell, Bernie Wrightson. I could tell just by not even so much the design, but the palette that thing was colored with. You remember that thing where the guy gets in the cab and the thing's driving the cab?
Yeah.
It's Bernie's creature.
Didn't he did the storyboards, right?
Yeah, and some design work, yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, guys, it's top of the hour, so we're going to do a reset. So we're going to walk through the featured prints one more time, and then we're going to go through your questions and comments, guys. Here we go, top. Just to say welcome to Artist Alley Live. If you're watching us, you're probably on Facebook, YouTube, or the Collector's Toy Shop. Here's our featured prints. Let's run through them one last time so you guys can see if there's something you like. We've got Bob Mccloud's Batman 66, and in case you haven't noticed, our 12 minutes went by rather quick. We've got Chad Harden's Black Cat. Francine, we didn't get a chance to hear from you in this one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's my Marble Girl. And funny thing about this piece, the original is a very small size. I think it's like 9 inches tall or 6 inches tall. And I always really like it. The result was like very loose, and I was trying to do like something in between with wax and watercolor. And yeah, and then Steven grabbed it and made these beautiful prints out of it. I'm stunning with the result. Thank you, Steven.
No problem. You're welcome. It even holds together at 40 by 60. Jamie Coker, we have his Sonic the Hedgehog. James C. Mulligan's Beauty and the Beast.
It's been done. Okay.
Joe, talk to us about Wonder Woman.
It is a drawing that Mike Deodato sent me and said, "Here, color this." So I did, and Mike's a wonderful artist, and it's I like getting, like I did a Brian Boland piece. I like getting other people's work and having to sculpt it with color.
I gotta step out for a minute, guys. I'll be back.
No worries.
Let's talk about him now while he's gone. Come on.
Yeah.
It's not like you cannot talk about him when he's here. So
All right, the next one. We've got John Hebert's Scarlet Witch. We've got Mustafa Musa's Rogue and Gambit. And we have my Guardian from Alpha Flight. So, guys, those are our 9 featured art prints. How you can get those art prints, and we're about to go through them, is if you put in the comments your questions or comments, it gets you a ticket. And at the end of the show, we're going to do a draw. You could win one of these art prints of your choice. Number 2, you just put in, I want Batman 66 claim art print, and we'll take care of it for you. Or number 3, go to MBartist.com, and any one of these 9 images, whether it's art print, fine art, platinum, or canvas, drop them into your cart, fill it up, and you can check out and get free shipping with the promo code free shipping. So those are our featured art prints, and now I am going to start rolling through the comments, and let's answer some of your questions here. Tom Palin says Sonic movie was enjoyable. There you go, off of your comment there, Jamie. Where are we going? Nick Larkin wants you to know, Francine, that your Derby Girl is a great pinup.
thank you very much.
Jamie, Brendan wants to know, I'm sure there's a perfect lady villain for Jamie Coker to work into his series. So there is a question real quick. Who's a female villain that Jamie could do for his villainous villain series?
Please do Maleficent.
Maleficent. All
I
right.
imagine you can do a killer Maleficent. I just imagine it like with all the other ones you have been working out. And Disney have a lot of public, so it's gonna go well. Yeah, do Maleficent. You're gonna be great with it.
Guys, if you guys have any suggestions on female villains Jamie should tackle in his villainous villain series, drop it in the comments. We want to hear from you.
Aunt May as Nova? When she worked for Galactus?
Oh, I like that.
Okay.
Rob Watson is completely abusing the Rob, it's a comment or a question that goes with our conversation, not the basic words.
I appreciate
Someone want
it.
to win.
Can I get lots of tickets?
With this comment?
Yeah. Brendan says he's a big fan of Olivia DeBarris. Always loved Betty Page. I recommend checking her out if you're not familiar.
Do you know I happened upon her grave one day?
Really?
Yeah, I was walking around a cemetery in Hollywood, and it was like Betty Page, just a little plaque. Like you thought she might have had like a full statue of her or something.
Hey, Brendan, if you get a chance, you should check out Joe's prints on MBartist.com. There is a Betty Page painting that he did that is available.
What does MB stand for?
Made by.
I'm glad you cleared that up.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I wondered about that myself.
I think nobody else knew that.
I
think nobody's ever asked.
It was not.
I never knew.
Boltinoff Comics? No. All right.
No.
All right. Fine.
No. Brendan, when we were talking about favorite covers, he says he likes Miss Marvel #1. Nick Larkin says Captain Marvel and Android 18 would make great pinups. Luke Holbrook says his favorite is Wolverine #1.
There you go, Joe.
There you go, Joe.
Send me $1.
Brendan says The Walking Dead #1 is really, really cool with reflections in the broken glass. How do you guys feel about The Walking Dead #1?
What about?
I don't remember how it is. The cover, you mean?
Like the composition. Like, would you consider that like it's an iconic book in terms of what it represents now in pop culture, but in terms of the composition of it, would you put that in the classification as Mustafa, your Spider-Man McFarlane in Marvel Age, or Boland's Killing Joke? Would that fall in that? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
No.
I mean, it's nice, but I don't know about that.
Tom Palin says, I love G.I. Joe 49 with Destro and Dr. Mindbender carrying a mummy. The beginning of Serpentor always was memorable when I was a kid seeing it in the comic store. Such a cool cover. Awesome. And I know who probably knows that image right to his head. That'd be you, Mr. Coker.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
know what cover he's talking about?
Yeah. Although when you guys were talking about cool covers, the one that came to my mind right away was the old Spider-Man cover, Spidey No More. With yeah, that's the one that comes. That's the one.
He's walking away from the trash can.
Yep, that's the one that came to mind.
Now, do you remember the later version of that when he was where it was Spidey cops out, and it was another Romita cover. It was several years after that one, it was the early '70s, and I think it had a border around it too that was white, and it was Spidey projected behind this mob rioting up close. It was a big Spider-Man behind going like this: "Go ahead, world, kill each other. I don't care anymore." It was like this issue, Spidey copped out. I always thought that was great.
You're going to need to help me out with this one, Francine. Aria Glez says, I have no idea. No Tokonozo ni nani. Okay, you read it.
Ok, dice, no te conozco mi niña, pero de lo que veo por esos videos soy super fan. Saludos desde el sofá. Ah, saludos, Sara. Gracias por el comentario.
All right, you two, get it.
Or what? Basically, she was saying I'm amazing. No, she was saying like what she looks in these videos, she's a fan and high from the sofa.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us, Era. And I see you got more comments here. We're going to get to them. Luke says, I did not know this much went into it. This goes off of your question to the audience, Joe. But love to hear how it all happens. It just gives me more admiration for what you do. Thanks, Luke, as always, man. We're glad that you join us every Wednesday. Era came back in English. Joe, do you produce work that a person say, I want this and this, or is there a general idea given and the artist has free range with where they want to take it? LOL, I feel like Francine trying to explain my thoughts from Spanish to English.
Francine, could you translate?
I think to paraphrase, she wants to know
No.
when you usually get a commission or something, is it lettered? Is it spelled out what they're looking for, or do they give you free range?
Sometimes it's both. Sometimes it's very exacting, and I want Tokyo in the back, and I want him in the brown costume bleeding from the left side, and I like him to speak with a French accent.
Nancy Reagan and Frank Gorshin's Riddler outfit being hit over the head by Mr. T.
Or like that set of paintings I just did. He just said, I want these characters, and I looked them up, and I said, is this photo okay? Go, okay. And then I just did it. So I chose what I wanted, unless the client. I mean, clients. I want to give them what they want. They're spending money. They have a dream. They have a birthday present coming up, and of course, you want to accommodate it. But you can also be your own person, your own artist within the confines of what they want.
Cool. Luke Holbrook says, "I can't wait to get some of that whiz." There you go. We're all working hard to do the best whiz we can.
Can't wait to take it away.
Anybody else? Anybody? Okay.
Era says, "Joe, turn down the chainsaw." Era also wants to know, do the artists have any work they produce that they wish they could retract or redo? Let's go around the horn with that.
Most of the stuff that I got published.
Oh, John!
John is very humble, and he wants to retract everything he's ever drawn.
Well, I think there are a lot of editors that have the same feeling about it.
Mustafa, do you have a piece that you wish you could ever retract or redo?
If anything, I wish the pieces that were promised to me or the jobs that were promised to me ended up happening. Like, yeah, there's some jobs that was promised to me sometimes for almost a year, and then when it happens, it ends up, not happening.
Jamie, how about you?
Oh boy. Not really. I mean, if anything, I think I learn a lot from piece to piece. I mean, the mistakes are part of the process, right? I mean, you know, you learn something from every single piece you make, whether it's good or bad, whether people like it or hate it. You learn something.
What planet do you live on? What is this?
The planet's called Minnesota, Joe.
Oh, that explains everything. I'm sorry.
No, I think it's Scotland because
Yeah.
he has this way to see the world that is so nice. Jamie.
I'm gonna do
He's the
something
big
bad
teddy bear
now.
who loves bad guys. Joe, have you ever had a piece that you wanted to redo?
Yeah, here's one of my long
What color is the sky in
protracted.
this world of yours?
Yeah, one of my long protracted answers that I'm sure nobody wants to hear. I very much admired Tom Palmer's work, and Tom is very spontaneous and bold and direct and all that. And so I got a job to do, and I said, I'm going to be Tom Palmer. And instead of being spontaneous and bold and direct, I was sloppy, loose, and inconsiderate. And then and I realized Tom Palmer doesn't sit down every day and say, I think I'll be Tom Palmer today. He just does. It's sort of like somebody making believe they have a French accent, but they've never been to France instead of going there for 5 years and coming back and being legitimate. So once I saw this job, it was horrible and I was terribly embarrassed. And the interesting thing about it was I blocked out the memory of it for decades. I didn't know which job it was, just that it was an awful job. And then one day somebody had me sign this comic book and I went, oh, here's the horrible job. And the other part of it was I was only half the job and Bob Mccloud inked the other half. And his half was good. So my half looked even worse by comparison. And I won't tell you what comic it is. So.
Nor will you admit that to Bob.
Right. Let's talk about Bob.
I'll tell you my Tom Palmer story. I got a quick Tom Palmer story. The first time I ever went to Marvel to show my portfolio, we were in the Avengers office, and Zach or somebody pulled open a drawer and said, take a look at this. And it's back when John Buscema was back on Avengers in the early 80s, and Palmer was doing finishes. And there was a whole issue penciled, ostensibly, by John, and there was next to no pencil on those pages. These things were just quick little thumbnail gestures. It looked like the whole page took 5 minutes. Yet everything was there. All the elements were there. And it was a Western issue. The splash page was a Quinjet flying down on a corral with horses running away. But they were barely there. They weren't even stick figures, maybe at most. And I remember saying, my God, how can he ink this? There's nothing here. But there was. It's hard to explain. So I waited for the 3 or 4 months, whatever it was, till that issue came out. I remember getting it off the racks at the comic shop. And I just stood there and stared at it because Tom had taken what John had just laid out. The two of them knew what each other was going to do. They'd worked together so much. And he drew over these little tiny gestures, and just everything had detail. Every one of those horses had a flowing mane, and the detail on the Quinjet was perfect. And there was a fence, and then every page had detail. And that blew me away and made me feel kind of insufficient for the business too, you know?
So and one of the revelations we just got from John's story is now we know the Avengers had their own office at Marvel right next to the Hulk office, but nobody ever went in there. So.
Well, it was the office the Avengers was out of. That's what I meant. Just like the way they used to have the label on the one door that said.
Did you ever go into Grunwald's office?
Just like the way they said there used to be an office with John.
So John, your homework for next week is to find out what issue that is, so we can pull it up and give everybody a visual reference to that story. Luke wants. Fran. Okay. Fran, have you ever had a piece you wanted to redo?
Yeah, probably when I see my first works, I always feel like, oh, I can do this better now. But I don't know. I think like now I'm doing like a small 4 pages comic based on a comic that I did like 1,000 years ago. So I think that sounds like a redo. It's not like I wish I never did the first time, but it's like, oh, I kind of like the story, and I think I can do that better now. So yes, I have.
Luke has a question, and this is based off of the conversation we had on the J.S. Campbell cover recreation. Have you ever seen some artwork that you just had to do yourself because you knew you could do it better? Mustafa.
Ooh, I don't know about that necessarily, but there is stuff I'm inspired by that I want to do my take on it. And yeah, we did talk about that earlier.
Cool. Jamie.
Oh boy, artwork that I could do it better. Oh, that seems egotistical.
Yeah.
That's why I put you on the spot.
The same goes with Mustafa, man. I mean, like, I'm just like, you know what? I like what that is. I want to see what I can bring to it. Doing something better. I don't know, man.
I know what we could do. Joe, would you say that this might qualify in terms of what you're working on with your reimagination of the Wolverine one?
I'm not quite sure what the question means by the viewer, but I've seen tons of shit I could do better.
Yeah, but that means like because you think like, oh, I can do this better. Would you just draw it because you
Well,
can do
I mean,
it
no,
better?
not draw it, but I mean, as an inker, I would
Oh, yeah.
I would see jobs and I would know what could have happened and what did happen and how awful they were, and just like, you know, it's like the John Buscema story that John just told. It's like, I know what this stuff should look like, and look what that guy did to it. And maybe I could have done it better. I could have been truer to the intention. I might have drawn it better than that guy did.
I look at a lot of stuff that's being done now, and I say that, and then I'm like,
well, all I know is I think we have our clip for next week's promo.
Right. By the way, something Francine said earlier. The story is that when Barry Smith was drawing Conan, he would draw page 2 to 22, and then he'd go back to page 1 to splash and draw it, because he figured he'd be better by then, page 22, so he'd be able to do the first page better that you saw. So he kept improving that way.
Well, that's cool. That's actually a great idea, because usually the first page is usually where you're at your most rustiest, right?
Yeah. You know, I've done jobs where they were like divvied up between 2 or 3 different inkers, and once I did a job, look, it was laid out by some guy. One of my heroes inked half of it, I inked the other half. I was really expecting to see a great job by my hero, to learn from it, to do better the next time, and I went, no, he didn't care. You know, he just got this thing going. Maybe he had 2 days to do it, and he didn't care. And I went, I did better because I care. And there's a factor in every job.
Oh, absolutely.
And you know, you also have to be realistic, because it's a business. And if you had a week to do it, you do it a week's worth. And if you had 3 days worth, you had to do the best you could for 3 days and accept the fact that you had 3 days.
Yeah.
That's so true. I have seen like many comics that are published already, and when I grab them and I look at the interior pages, I think like, wow, this is really bad. But you can also take in mind that like you don't know, maybe the artist that they have didn't have enough time, so he has to crunch it, and it's the best he could do in the time they have. So that is also important.
So based on our suggestion where we asked the audience to give us some female villains for you, Jamie, here's a list. Carrie from TMNT. Mystique. Ara says Mystique. Brendan says Faba. I don't know that character. Rob says Dark Ray from the last Star Wars movie. Tom Palin says he has a 9.8 Walking Dead #1. Cool, dude. And then Brandon says Dark Phoenix would also be amazing. And then we'll close out with this last comment. Ariel Diaz, watching us once again. Thank you as always, Ariel. Says it's mini pop. They don't say soda in Minnesota.
I still say soda.
See, that's Cockerland.
All right, guys, I want to thank you all for your comments and your questions. It is now draw time. Thank you. The lovely Lord Jeet has entered. And the Oscar goes to
The winner is yes.
You Say You Never Win. Brendan, are you in the house?
The rig is in.
The rig is
The
in.
fix is in.
The Brendan Halpin. Say win-win and pick your featured art print. Let's throw it up there, Eric, if you don't mind. I know Brendan's here. He always complains about how he asks all these questions and he never gets to win. So if he's not here, it's going to be a shame.
Oh no.
Brendan, go ahead and pick. Pick. Uh-oh.
Is he in?
He might not be here. He might. Oh. Tom demands a recount.
You might never come.
We're going to pick again in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Oh my God, Brendan, you got to be kidding me.
It's ironic.
That is ironic. You have no idea. All right. So first one to say I win. So we're either looking for Brendan Halpin or you're going to love this one. Here's your recount, Tom. First one to say I win.
Oh no.
He got his recount. Wouldn't it be awesome if he just said, you know what? Screw it, I'm out.
The fix is in.
Oh, there we go. All right.
You know, the first art contest I ever won was rigged.
Oh, really? Tom, pick your print. You're a winner. All right, guys. So while Tom is carefully considering his options, he can pick one out of 9 art prints. While we're waiting for Tom, let's do a little show and tell. Oh, and Tom, I need your shipping address. Please DM me your shipping address. Let's see what's on your art table. Joe, you've been screwing away. Do you have anything you want to do on show and tell real quick before we go?
Other than all the stuff I already shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just this again. You know, I'm doing this burn stuff. So I never inked John's X-Men, so now here I am reliving the dream.
Jamie, what do you got?
Working on inking my Captain Marvel cover.
Cool. Let's take a
Wow,
look.
nice.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Bye, little robot.
And let me tell you guys, when you see the original versus this, it's like night and day. It's like night and day. And do we want to let him in on what we're doing with the Wiz logo?
Oh, sure. Why not?
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, so the head of the robot is being thrust into the air by the punch. Well, the logo is going to be cracked and kind of like messed up, kind of like some of the old covers, and just, you know, pieces flying and everything like that. So, yeah, the Wiz logo is going to get it too.
Yeah, kind of like they used to do with the Hulk logos.
Oh yeah.
John, you've been carefully just working away. What do you got on your table there, sir? John?
Or a lot of the.
He's broadcasting from the moon.
Yeah. Okay. Here it is.
This is ground control to Major.
Getting in there. Always have trouble. Yeah.
Oh, that is cool.
You see it?
Who's that for?
Yeah. Also known as Bernie.
Ooh, are we going to be able to turn that into a print?
Thank you. That is going to be a print for the convention, the first convention I've done in a year and a half, a week from this coming Saturday in Wayne, New Jersey.
Ooh, I think we need to do one for
trying to get it done because I've been way behind with stuff. So I discussed this with you a little bit the other day, Steve. And here's something else I've been working on too. Jamie, are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello?
Yeah.
This thing's dropping out again. Have you got me?
Yeah, we got you. We see your belts.
Jamie, you there?
Yeah.
I got something cool for you I've been working on too, buddy. Just take a quick look.
Okay.
Show us.
You see it?
No.
Wait, what?
It's
No.
a belt.
That's the big green. That's the next one.
Oh, the belt.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
The
I
rest
thought
of
Jamie
them.
would appreciate that. I guess I was wrong.
Oh man, no, I'm a huge fan of Championship.
No,
Belt.
your camera's strobing.
Yeah, it's kind of yeah.
Mustafa,
cool,
what's
man.
on the table?
Let's see if you guys are familiar with Cerebus, a very popular character from Canada back in the day, and TMNT. It's a barbarian Cerebus and TMNT, and got to work with Tones. I don't really do that much, so that was fun.
Cool. Yeah, here's a funny thing. The creator of Cerberus, I forget his name, but he
Very cool.
actually
Dave Sim.
Dave Sim.
Yeah, he lives in Kitchener, which
Dave
is
Sim.
literally a 5-minute drive in. We bump into each other we share an LCS.
Oh, awesome. I was a big fan of his growing up. Gerhard, I'm a huge fan of. He's big in inspiration for him.
Well, apparently he has warehouses of books
Right.
that are
Yeah.
uncirculated.
I have a Cerebus drawing here that Dave did that I'm supposed to paint.
Oh, cool. That'd be a good one.
Yeah.
Tom is going with the Batman. Which one was the Batman? Throw up the featured real quick. Let's see which one was the Batman.
Bob's. Right?
56.
Oh,
Bob.
Batman 66. There you go, Bob.
Um,
Nice. Good pick, Tom. No worries.
Right.
You don't have. You can always pick up the Canada one on MBartist.com.
I got
And what do we have
And
here,
then-
Francine?
I have some thumbnails, and these are basically, I blow them up, and I'm doing like pencils for the pages that I was talking about. So this is like the small story thing. They are eating the pig.
We
I
got to
remember
get
what
that.
happened there. Eric had a seizure on the buttons.
We got to get that technical difficulties graphic from The Simpsons with the drunken cameraman.
There you go, Eric. Get on that. We need some technical difficulties. Did Joe just bail on us?
Yeah, he says he has to leave.
Oh,
He had
"Screw
enough.
you guys, I'm going home.
We had enough.
All right, guys. Real quick, let's run through. Does anybody have any shows this weekend? Who's got shows this weekend? Jamie, where are you going to be?
Peoria, Illinois, QuadCon Peoria at the Peoria Convention or Civic Center. I've heard it called both on Saturday.
Cool. So if you guys want to go visit Jamie and pick up some of his villainous villains, and I suggest you do, because I think on some of them we're getting up to the 60s now, and we only do 100 of these guys. So go check them out at
QuadCon Peoria, Illinois, Peoria Civic Center.
John, Mustafa, do you have a show this weekend?
I had a show last weekend in Florida. It was great. I don't know where you guys were, but no. It's
I was
no, nothing this week or next week, and then I'll be in Washington in a couple weeks. Just got the tickets all taken care of.
cool. And John, we know you got a show coming up.
Yeah, Wayne, New Jersey. Actually, it's, let's see, a week from this coming Sunday. First time
And,
I've done a show in a year and a half.
And we're sending, guys, just to let you know, go check him out, because we're sending him a bunch of his prints for his table. He's going to be stocked and locked and ready to show it off. The piece that you just showed, are you just doing that black and white for the show?
I'm doing it black and white, but then our good friend Mr. Anderson is going to be coloring it because he's going to be riding down with me. So it's going to be a colored piece, and Bill is going to be coloring it for me. And as soon as I get colors of it, probably I'll be showing you folks on here.
You're gonna give me a high res, right?
Absolutely.
600 DPI.
I'll get you high res the black and white too. So
I
that
think
way,
it looks awesome.
if you want to have specialized colors like you do, you can. We can do whatever. Because the last time I did a show for this guy, I did that Punisher Spider-Man piece, which you've seen.
Yep. No, it's a great piece. We're gonna be doing that one too when you give me the go ahead. All right, guys,
Okay.
we're just gonna wrap it up real quick. So show season is coming. I am excited, guys. We've got 12 shows. We're gonna be running the Gambit starting in August, ending in December. MBartist is gonna be running the Gambit. We've got 12 shows for the rest of the year starting in August, and we're gonna be kicking it off at Orlando Megacon. And everybody here is going to be there. And then 2 weeks after that, we're going to be at UltraCon, where we're going to be premiering our Wiz Golden Age tribute. And everybody here, except for me, because I don't have time, is going to have a Wiz. Everyone here is going to have their own Wiz. So come on out and pick it up. It's going to be awesome. I think we've seen everybody's here. Jamie just showed it. We saw Mustafa and Racine's Wiz. And John took his Wiz a long time ago. So we're excited for that. And we're also working on some special stuff because the voice of Lion-O and Bluegrass.
I was going my Wiz a long time ago.
Is going to be there. And so we're going to get some of our Thundercats prints signed by, what's his name? Kenny? Something Kenny. Sorry, guys. That's my bad. And Buck Rogers is going to be there. So we're going to be taking a lot of our famous Bunnies comics prints and get it signed by Mr. Buck Rogers himself. So anyways, guys, those are going to be our first two shows. We'll be rolling out our entire event schedule shortly. We're basically going to be doing all the Fan Expo ones. We're still working with Reed Pop to cementing those ones, but it's going to be an exciting end of the year. And we started working on our booth, guys, and I think you're going to be excited because we're going for the whole gallery record store type feel. So it should be exciting stuff, and we'll share it with you guys first as we pull it all together. Anyways, any final thoughts before we shut the door? Silence speaks volumes.
Looking forward to seeing all you guys in person again.
Oh, I've already said first night at MegaCon, we're tying one on.
Oh yeah.
First round
Why
on
should
me.
that night be any different than my usual night, right?
Oh my God.
First round's on me. Mark my words. Write it down. All right, guys. I want to thank everybody out there for
we
watching.
have it on record.
Yeah, we have it on record.
First drinks on Steve.
First drinks on me. Whatever I remember. And after that, you're on your own. All right, guys. I want to thank you for watching us on YouTube, on Facebook, on the Collector's Toy Shop, from the Great White North and all points in between. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Oh!